Today, we are going to talk about your last book, Longevity Nation, and I've invited our content partner from Longetalks, another Eliane, but other Eliane Ronel, a specialist in the field of longevity too. Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you with us and for Brazilian people. And you were with us 4 years ago, and when they had the opportunity, you talk about your first book, 2021, Roar. And in fact, Roar is an inspired guide book that will help people achieve your dreams and get more out of life, whether or no retirement plans, okay? But now you write a great book, a recent, because you launched this book in 2026 May, okay? And in this book, you are very provocative. It presents how society, academia, and individuals understand aging. And you argue that is not a phase of decline or loss, but rather it's a one-off opportunities, okay?
Right.
What inspired to write this book, and what is the central or the main message in this new book? Could you talk about this for us?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. First of all, the book Roar was really for the individual, for personal development. And as I started to learn more and more about the longevity movement, I learned that there were many people in medicine and technology and government and urban planning who were working to help create the framework for the new 100-year life idea. And so my goal was to interview these people from around the world who were doing very interesting and innovative things to help all of us live longer and healthier lives. And so I interviewed 70 people from the US and Europe and around the world to learn what they are doing and how they are creating what we call the highway, the roadmap for the future. And so this was more of a broad discussion on what's happening in longevity versus the personal development side.
You analyze the cases, best practice, and you analyze, for example, the city Singapore and the companies like L'Oreal, because this company has a program all generations, okay,
Right.
for your labor. But could you talk more about this example? For example, if it's possible. For example, São Paulo is a big city in Brazil. If you analyze Singapore, it's possible to learn how the city is making better this place, for example, for others, and you could bring to these lessons for Brazil. And of course, probably you need to make adaptations, of course, but you believe that it's possible.
Yeah. Well, Singapore, as you mentioned, it's a small nation, so it's not a big nation, but there are many things that they are doing that other countries and states and cities can adapt for their own environment. So, for example, one of the things that we talked about is a neighborhood in Singapore, which is called Queenstown, which is a health, wellness, longevity neighborhood. And what they have done with this neighborhood, as an example, is create a very friendly environment for walking, for parks, for access to health care, for senior community centers next to nursery schools, so that there is a natural connection with many generations. The 3-generation apartment where 3 generations can live next to each other in a building. They have great signage, big bold letters, so people can, see where their walkways are in their parks. They have a lot of technology now for healthcare that is part of the SG Health initiative. And they, in their design for their apartments, they create a universal design so that there is easy adaptability for people of all ages, quite honestly. So there's a lot that they're doing, but many other cities around the world are doing things to create what we say the age-friendly city. The World Health Organization has a platform called Age-Friendly Cities, which hundreds, if not thousands of communities are part of this network. And you can go online and learn the best practices from different cities from around the world and what they're doing. And so that is really a great inspiration. But I found Singapore was really one of the most interesting and exciting places in terms of urban planning, design, and government involvement.
Specifically in Singapore, this transformation is a public policy or is a private investment?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's both. The government's very involved, public-private partnerships, corporate partnerships. I think what is interesting, in many countries, more progressive countries have federal policies or age-friendly policies. The United States does not have a federal policy.
In Brazil, we have some of them, but not effective policies.
Right. And so I think the most progressive countries are in Asia. They also have the oldest populations. As you know, Japan is the oldest population. The life expectancy in Asia, it's projected that Asian women, particularly in Korea, Japan, that life expectancy will be reaching 90 shortly in the next few years. And life expectancies are already in the mid 80s. So in Asia, Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, Singapore, even China, there are many emerging government policies that are becoming very aware of the importance of addressing this topic for society.
You talk about the prejudice, the age prejudice, but in fact, the majority of companies are ageist. Okay, if you, for example, I worked for 30 years in a company, and I'm in a moment to retire. Okay, but I don't want to stop work.
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm going to looking for another occupation. Okay, I am preparing to do this. I am studying a lot, but when I apply to submit for a job, I am refused because companies in general want to young employee.
Yeah. What I say is that they have 20th century structures and thinking in the 21st century reality. And just to give you a perspective, in America, 100 years ago, life expectancy was 62, and there were 7 million people who were 65 or older. 7 million. Today, life expectancy is 80, and there are 62 million people who are 65 or older in America, growing to 80 million. And that is the case in many countries around the world. What will happen is the sheer number of people that are in this cohort age will force companies to change their policies. Because first of all, they will say, I want to work longer, I can work longer, I need to work longer. Also, companies will realize that the next generation, there aren't enough people. There is a talent drain for people who are actually exiting the workplace. And it's in companies' best interest to retain their talent for longer periods of time. And we're seeing innovative, progressive companies changing their approach. You mentioned L'Oreal for All Generations. It's a global initiative to retain, promote, reskill people over 50 to work longer. In certain industries like wealth management, they want their people to work longer because they have the knowledge and the experience and the brain power because of all the years. One of our clients is a major private bank in the US, and the president, she told me, I want my people working until their 70s.
Ooh.
My people can work till they're 80 if they want. And, you know, I think part of it is depending on the industry, but companies that are becoming much more enlightened, and most of them are also in Asia and Europe. You know, back to Singapore, the Singapore government will pay a company 8% of a salary if they hire someone over 55.
Oh.
So, you know, you have government support, tax incentives, different mechanisms that can help. You know, one of the, and by the way, it could also mean that the employee doesn't necessarily work in the same job or even work full time. There are many different models now. One of the models that I learned about is called Flex 58.
Yes.
You stop working full time at 58 if you choose to, but your pension is fully funded as you move into part-time. So there are many different models, and I think companies will be forced to adapt because of the demand from the people and their employees.
Yes, I agree. In fact, we need a change of mentality, change the mindset. We need to think in live longer, better, but you need to prepare when you are young, and of course, not only my perspective or the public policies, but we need to put together the society, the government, the companies, private companies, and each one to think together how we can live longer, better.
That's right.
Of course. And in this point, your book is a brilliant guidebook. How you can do this.
That's right. The goal is to raise the awareness with leadership, government leadership, business leadership, philanthropy leadership, that this is a very important societal issue that needs to have more attention and more focus.
Yeah, I agree. But now we need your book translated to Portuguese.
Okay. I have to tell my publisher that.
We would like to thank you a lot for this opportunity to talk with you, especially for your recent book, The Longevity Nation. And I hope to see the Portuguese version soon. And of course, it's a pleasure for us.
I like you very much because you're very, very, what's that, attention for me. When I write for you and you attention and you write quickly. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both for your interest and keep the conversation going. So thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Obrigado. Obrigado.